Okay, it is now 6 o'clock. If you would please cut your cell phones off or put them on vibrate, we would definitely appreciate this. At this time, if you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, then I'll have you seated for a devotion and prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I thank y'all for coming. Tonight's devotion is going to be a little different. So, some of you may or may not know, yesterday, one of our Superior Court judges, Judge Howard C. Kaufall Jr., passed away. So I'd like to just read a little bit about it was his obituary. He was born in Jacksonville, Florida, May of 1953, and then he was always a hardworking man. He was taught by his parents to say what you mean and mean what you say. And so he carried that all through his life, and he taught it to his children and his grandchildren. And so for like 40 years, he was an attorney. He lived in Montgomery County, but he was an attorney mainly over in Vidalia. And he helped a lot of people over there. In 1983, he married the love of his life. They had 3 kids and 8 grandchildren. So I know that was a lot of fun. He says he did like to play golf and travel, but he was a member of the Vidalia Presbyterian Church and some golf association, other things. But I just want to read mainly a couple of things here. On December 21st, 2017, Judge Kaufall received the highest honor when Governor Nathan Deal appointed him to serve his community as a Superior Court judge. Judge Kaufall loved being on the bench. As the son of a Marine, he started every court session with the Pledge of Allegiance. He was always prepared and expected the same for all who appeared before him. He took pride in dispensing justice according to the law as written. He wrote his own orders without delay. He was tough. He was both tough and compassionate. Judge Kaufall continued to work diligently despite being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2021. He loved life and battled cancer, this disease, for nearly 5 years. He never lost hope of defeating it. He planned to continue working and to return to playing golf. However, as set forth in the book of Proverbs, which he read daily, many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it's the purpose of the Lord that will stand. And that's from Proverbs 19. So at this time, I'd like for us to pray for Judge Kaufall's family, and just hopefully when our day comes that we're leaving this earth, that people, remember some of the stuff we did that helped them. May we pray. Our Father and God, we thank you so much for the life of Judge Kaufall. And Lord, we thank you that many things he did here, serving the people of not only our county, but the other counties in this circuit. We pray, Lord, that you'll just be with his family during this tough time. I pray that you'll give them peace and comfort as they will be having the service shortly. And I just pray, Father, for them, that you'll just continue to be with them. Be with us tonight. Give us wisdom and guidance in all that we do. We pray, Lord, that you'll just be with our county. We pray that you'll help it and everything that happens here in this county. We pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, the first thing we have on the, let's see, I don't see any elected officials or department heads, so we'll move to the approval of the minutes. You want to do the, yeah, would you bring, we will have a motion and a second to amend the agenda under old business. It would be adding a C, which would be
Surplus government.
yeah, surplus government properties. So can I get a motion? Have a motion, to have a second. Have a second. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. Okay, we'll go back to the approval of the minutes. Then we have the minutes of the July 6th regular meeting. Do we have any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have several seconds. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go to old business. We have the data center ordinance. It's on your tablet. And I assume it has the changes you were interested in.
It does, but I would like to request that we schedule a work session so that we would have more time to go over things that we need to go over for the data center. I don't think we've had appropriate time, and Commissioner Watkins was not able to attend our last work session. So that is my request, that we go ahead and schedule one tonight.
Okay, let's see, to take care of this that's on the agenda, let's table this then, and then we'll see about if it's okay. I guess that'd be the procedure, Joe?
Motion to table will be the appropriate procedure. I understand she's asking for it, but she doesn't say the magic words.
Okay, well, but I mean, we would need to table and then set up a work session. Okay,
Move to table.
all right, we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, there's no discussion on a motion to table. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. All right, that's taken care of. You have a date for a work session?
Yes,
Because I know the county manager is interested in having one also,
correct.
so we could do it all at one time.
Yes, sir, that would be fine with me.
Do you have a recommendation, or would you like to bring it up under your county manager report?
Bring it up on the matter.
Okay, if that's okay with
That's
you,
great.
we'll move on
Perfect.
to,
Thank you.
okay, we have the old courthouse. Attorney Ron Daniels has something that's in our packet, our tablet. You want to mention anything or just,
Sure. The commissioners had asked at the last meeting for a proposed referendum and asked for at least two permutations of that. And what you have is two different versions. The first version is just sort of a generic, straight up, do you support doing it at a potential increase of 2.5 mils, or yes or no? And then the second iteration is more of the granular that I spoke about, where, you know, it's a poll question. And so it's not a binary choice. You can pick, and yes, I'm willing to do it up until half a mil increase, and then mil increase, and 2 mil increase, and 2.5 mil increase or greater. And that way you can kind of get more granular, detailed information. There's not a right or wrong to those. You can play with those numbers. You could create more options, but those are really the two. If you were looking at doing a poll question, which is surely, you know, just purely an advisable thing from the public, those would be your two methods that you would go. You either have a binary yes or no, just, you know, this is the amount that you're setting as sort of the threshold, or let them sort of give you feedback that way. It's more of a, I guess, a more democratic option as the multiple option choice there. So.
okay. Yes, Counselor, can we got two options in front of us. Can I ask I just got a question I was going to ask before, you know, we take a motion, or if the board even decides to do it. Is that allowable? Should I get a motion or a second?
The multiple question would be difficult on a ballot because you would have to engineer the election protocols to allow several different options if you're going with different mental rates. You can do it, but I'm just saying it would be difficult to manage as far as the election process. I'd have to talk to the registrar to see if he could literally do several different options.
Okay, the question I had was concerning the first option, and let me explain it without, it says, the estimated amount is 2.5 meals. At 1 meal, according to my information that it hadn't changed yet, is $480,000. So 2.5 meals would be $1.2 million for the year. I had asked the county manager about how much, like when the courthouse was fully operational and we were having court there and everything was happening, how much were the utilities? The utilities ran $7,500 to $10,000 per month, was $120,000 per year. So I'm trying to figure out, the 2.5 seems high unless you're going to try to, I'm not sure where the 2.5 came from. I know we've got to build a judicial complex, which is what, $10 to $12 million?
Yes, sir.
So we're looking at something for that. So that's what I'm trying to figure out is where that came from. But anyway.
You would be duplicating the cost. However you look at it, if you maintain both buildings.
Well, that's not maintenance, that was also figuring in the major renovation that's gonna take approximately 20 and 25 years to pay for, somewhere around that $2 million mark.
But the old courthouse doesn't necessarily have to be used as what it was in the past, right? Because if you look at it, the judicial complex will be out of it, so that will mean several offices out of it. And then we still have the building that SC Capital built over there, where like the tax office is and the assessors and
Annex.
yeah, the annex building. So this is an annex too. But what I'm trying to figure out is, if it's used for the public, like for instance, if the Development Authority, Chamber of Commerce, or some public entity that we support went in there, it wouldn't be near the cost of redoing it, as we would need if we were going. The roof's got to be done according to one contractor that lives here. You're looking at taking all the wood out of the ceiling, roof, putting a metal structure up there and a metal roof, which is, he said would be about $1.25 million, something like that. But then to renovate the rest of the building where it could just be used was maybe another $1 million. So I'm just trying to figure out, how we're going to pay for, we've got to do judicial building. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way to put this on the ballot so that it doesn't totally confuse the people as to what we're doing. That's just what I'm trying to figure out, but it's up to the board. So if there's any board comments, y'all want to make a motion or not, then think about the election board. They need this by the first week of August, whichever route we go, if we go either route. They need this by the first week of August for whatever they got to do to get it on the ballot by November.
Dan, I think you make a great point that no matter how this question is worded, it's going to be extremely tough to get it accurate. And if anybody wanted to manipulate this vote, they would start out with how high the taxes could be. And if somebody wanted to manipulate it in another way, they could talk about how nice the courthouse could be without mentioning it. My opinion is, at the end of this, even if we do this question, this board is going to have to vote to take action, yes or no, up or down on this courthouse. And I think it's our responsibility. That's what my consensus.
Okay. Any other comments from the board of commissioners?
I agree with Brian.
Okay.
There's a lot. Well, I'm concerned that this is going to confuse the wider public than those that are coming to the meetings, because there's two courthouses really in the mix, right? And they might be thinking this is a vote for that much money for the new judicial building. It's confusing.
Okay. Other comment from the board? It,
Y'all do have a legal obligation to maintain a working courthouse in the county. That is straight down from state law and otherwise. You don't have a legal obligation to maintain the old courthouse. I'm not saying that mandates you to tear it down. I am saying you have a legal obligation to maintain a working courthouse.
and what offices are required to be in there other than the courtrooms?
Legally, you only have required to have a courtroom, but you have constitutional officers who are entitled to have a place to work.
Sure.
You've got that now. But talking about the old courthouse, all I'm saying is you don't have a legal obligation to maintain that building. You can, it's within your discretion. But you have no legal obligation to maintain that if you in fact have a working courthouse.
Okay. Other questions from the board?
I don't have any questions, but I do want to say that the ones of you following the courthouse and have researched it, you know what's going on. You probably have your own opinions about it. But if we were just to go in and renovate the main floor, it's not going to fix the issues of the courthouse. It's not going to fix the foundation issues. It's not going to fix so if something's not used, it's not going to be usable. You can't just leave things to sit. So if the whole courthouse isn't used, that's your point.
Now, you're gonna have
Right,
to
the
fix
whole
the
thing's gonna
roof,
have to
will
be
be
used.
fixed.
But there's been such an
Whatever you do.
outcry about the possibility of demolishing it, that it's, if you've read the feasibility studies, if you've done your research, if you've been to the meetings, if you've talked to your commissioners, you've talked to your county manager, anybody, Mr. Dan, you guys will know this has been a conversation for 7 years and 6 months now. And probably before that. I am in favor of a referendum. I do understand that it can be confusing, but I do think you guys have a right to speak about how you want it done. But obviously maintaining it's going to cost money. You know that, right? Like, we know that it's going to cost money to maintain it. And what are we going to put in it? Are we going to put the constitutional officers back in it? Is that something that's an option?
By the way, the
We don't
board's
need any
got-
more blight.
Yeah, the board's plan is already, I think, I don't know that we actually voted on it yet, but it's to put the constitutional officers that deal with the courtroom in the courthouse or in the
Correct.
judicial complex, which is, I think that's the plans that are being drawn up, if I'm correct. So that's going to be where they are. So there's really just a few offices like ours, the tax assessor, the tax commissioner. That's it, basically, as far as, is there somebody I'm missing?
Elections.
In elections, yeah.
Building inspection, transit.
Right. Okay. So, but that's back to what's the board's pleasure on this? So we can decide which way to go, or if we're going this route or what. What is the board's pleasure?
I have one question for Ron before.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
On the second one, Ron, with the multiple choice, did you talk with James about this? Did you ask him?
No, and I don't think James is as powerful as James is. My understanding of the way this works is it would go to the ballot builder at the Secretary of State's office. I don't know that James would have an answer.
About how it works? Okay.
Yeah, well, I think he would have a generalized answer, but I think it's going to be up to the folks at the Secretary of State's office who actually build the ballots.
Gotcha.
Just based on the SPLOST referendum that we've done over in neighboring county the last couple of years and a couple other things that we put on there. It all depends on what the ballot builder said.
Thank you.
Okay. So on this particular issue, what's the board's pleasure? If I want to make a motion. Okay. Anybody?
I would-
Don't seem, what, go ahead.
I would say, I motion that we accept the first
Yep.
notice of elections that Mr. Daniel has prepared for us.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Okay, well, the motion dies for a lack of a second. So we will move down to the surplus property, surplus government property that's on the agenda, and I'll turn it over to John Harrington, county attorney.
We have had, some discussion about whether or not we want to maintain the
No, that was me. I'm sorry. I just set it down. It started.
whether we want to maintain the old, what's called Dodge County Landing. For those of y'all that don't know, we had an oxbow, which is a loop in the river, and there was a pass through, and the loop and pass through has made it so that the Dodge County Landing, the original Dodge County Landing, is no longer serviceable. It does not have the water in order to put boats in the stream. There is a new Dodge County Landing, which has been done, which is in the main stream of the river that does satisfy the needs of our county. To that end, we have requested to abandon the old landing, which results in what we call an escheatment back to the adjoining landowners. So that's taken care of. There was an issue of a well on there. I have personally spoken to the two landowners that are there, and they have come to an agreement about how they want to handle the well. So it can be abandoned by the county, and it will then escheat back to the two people on either side of the landing. It's just a matter of this board voting to approve that abandonment. But since we have a replacement landing and a place where you can get in the river, is my opinion, that we no longer need to maintain the landing that we had in the old landing, which is no longer serviceable, and allow that to escheat back to the adjoining landowners. Not like a road, you don't have to advertise it or anything. It's just an abandonment of property that we had. It's not a matter of cost. We didn't pay anything for it. It was given to us. So, I think it's within the discretion of this board to abandon that property and allow it to escheat back to the people on either side of the property. And,
Okay, so that,
y'all's discretion.
the question, I mean, I guess the legal question I had was, we can just have a motion in a second and abandon the property.
You can. It's not like a road. You don't
Okay.
have to advertise it like you do a road or anything like that, because nobody got access to it.
Okay,
It's just surplus property that y'all may or may not at your discretion.
okay. All
So
right,
you need.
just
to
so I
know.
know. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
May I ask a question? So we really don't have a requirement then to be maintaining it, because we have another one we're maintaining, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah, so I don't
And
think
the
we
well
need to
there
maintain it.
servicing the neighboring property and nothing for the county. We don't want to have any liability or money tied up in someone else's well. And for that reason, I moved to abandon this property. No longer need to come back here.
we have a motion on the floor
The motion.
Second.
and I have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Yes,
To say the landing's not usable is incorrect. It's usable sometimes of the year, not year round.
They're in flood stage, maybe.
Well, I wouldn't say flood, but if any of y'all have been to the new landing, you can't park over 7-8 vehicles with trailers there. If we abandon the other landing, which has ample parking, we need to do something about expanding parking there. Parking center.
okay, thank you. All right, anybody else with the public? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go to new business. We have the approval of accounts payable. That is on your tablet, so y'all will look through that. And if you have a question, I'm sure the county manager can answer it. If not, he'll get you an answer, I'm sure, in the next day or two. Do we have any questions on the accounts payable list?
Move to approve.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll move to the 2026 Local Road Administration Project Approval.
Yes, sir. So the road committee and myself have been working diligently on, presenting a road list for the LRA, the 2026 LRA. And that is the Local Roads Administration. It is a grant provided by the state. This one actually has zero match. And we received notification that we were awarded $1,184,273.47. And through estimations and meetings, the road committee has worked down to these roads that are in dire need of resurfacing. And that estimated amount comes to $1,427,426.23, leaving a variance over the grant of $243,152.76. And the discussion with the road committee is that there's ample funds in T-Splosh that can be used to pay for the variance. So I recommend that Ben Gibbs, Pinecrest Drive, Jessica Lane, Arthur Cooper Road, and Nicholson Carr Road be approved for the LRA grant.
Okay? Anybody on the board want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Yes, sir. Can you come to the mic, please?
I'm just delighted to hear that Nicholson Carr Road is gonna be attended to. The reason I say that is I travel that road occasionally. It's gotten so bad, I was on a tractor the other day going to a hayfield, bale some hay. I go into a curve, I mean a car, I can't get over. There's a pothole in that curve that is so big, I hit it. And it literally threw me out of the seat. And so the other day I went by there again, going back to the same field. Somebody had actually put a bag of Saccharine in that hole to fill it up. That's how bad that road has got. And one other road, of course, the bridge is out there working on it. The Chicken Road from Empire all the way through, almost to Macedonia Church. It's getting in bad shape because the traffic has increased tenfold since the bridge was put out. So I'd really like to see something done with that stretch of road.
Sure. We had planned to do something on that stretch of road, but when we found out the state was going to close the bridge to replace the bridge, we knew they were not supposed to be doing this, but the truck traffic would be picked up tremendously on Chicken Road. So we planned to do it, but we just have to move it back later until they finish the bridge. So
It's just typical everyday traffic, not so much, truck traffic. Of course, there's some of that too. But there's a pretty good pothole on that road right now.
yes, sir.
If they, maybe a Band-Aid until you can get that addressed and get that road serviced. Is a pickup load of asphalt, and just fill in what's there.
Sure.
There's about what you can do.
Right.
But, it would, there's some holes that bend. You hit it with your car, you could damage the front of the car, knock it out of alignment, bust a tire. It's pretty bad spots in that road right now.
Yes, sir.
So
Okay. We'll be glad to check on
if you
that.
could get
Thank you.
that, looked at and then maybe taken care of, that'd be good. But yeah, Nicholson Carr Road, I'm really glad to hear that's good.
Thank you for the comments. We appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go to the 2026 mid-year budget amendments, and I'll turn it over to the county manager.
Yes, sir. So we've been fortunate this year to receive as many grants as we've got in this time of the year where we need to make adjustments to our 2026 budget. And in front of you, I've created a spreadsheet that tells you what grant we have received, and where it's been placed in the revenue GL and where we need to make an adjustment in the expense GL. And then, of course, the next column is the amount. So, I'll run down the list just really briefly. So we did receive an EMAG grant in the amount of $989. We received a fireworks grant in the amount of $22,500. The GTIB, which is a grant loan, we need to make an adjustment in the amount of $4,429,108. We are prepared after tonight, so I can apply for the LRA grant in the amount of $1,184,273. We received 2 ACCG, Jerry, I don't remember his last name. Sorry.
Jerry Griffin.
Jerry Griffin, thank you, Jerry Griffin Scholarship. And that is for actually traveling to different conventions and trainings. The first one we received was for $2,976.98. And the second was in the amount of $2,500. We also received a brace grant in the amount of $7,500. And so that brings the total grants that we've received to $5,649,846.98 that need to be accounted for and for auditing purposes in our budget.
What about the other requests?
I will hit that after that one because that was more just a flip. But I mean, if you want, I'll go ahead and do that too. So
I mean, I'll just,
I'll do it. So the extension office is asked for a change in their budget, and then in the amount of $1,500. That goes to office supplies. They're asking for that. Now they did expend their office supply budget earlier this year by refreshing computers inside of that area. But what they're asking for is, since we do not currently have a county agent, we have budgeted the full year's worth of county supplement to him, and they're what that office is asking for is to remove $1,500 from that budget line and put in office supplies.
okay, any questions from the board?
Where are we gonna get a county? Where we gonna?
I don't have the answer to that.
The University of Georgia Corporate Extension Service, I believe, has a hand in that, so I'm not sure.
I reckon we can put on that, it would be appreciated. A lot of people in my line of work can count on those from time to time when we have issues.
Sure.
May I?
Yeah.
We received an email explaining the status of it.
Right, I did ask the district director a time frame and told her time was of the essence, and she came back and said after July 1st, but there's been no communication since July 1st from UJ Extension.
There, okay, I'll elaborate. Okay, I have a candidate in mind that will be available not too long after July 1st.
Yeah, all right, so this is the issue we have in front of us. Does anybody want to make a motion on this particular budget?
Move we approve the
Okay.
budget amendments request.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have several seconds. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll go down to D, zoning request.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to present this to y'all. I have been requested that I have received a request from some concerned citizens asking this board of commissioners to consider placing a zoning referendum for the voters in November. And this request stems from concerns regarding potential development of large-scale solar farms and data centers within our county.
Okay. What would be the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners? Anybody want to make a motion?
I would caution the board on making what's called spot zoning, which is what this is spot zoning, which is not considered favorable by the courts and legislature. General zoning is something that you can do now. That's something we talked about for years and bounced around, but spot zoning is largely not upheld in the courts because it seems to be making a singular decision rather than a blanket decision about the county. I'm not telling you one way or the other how to vote it. But I'm telling you that spot zoning generally is not favored by the courts. So if you're spot zoning, and by that I mean you're picking out individual things that you're zoning against, that's dangerous.
Which is the reason that we're doing this with ordinances specific to those things instead of.
There is a difference between ordinance and the zoning. You're quite correct in that. I'm not telling y'all what to do. I'm just telling you that spot zoning is something that is quite liberally done away with by the courts. And I don't want y'all to do something that ultimately we would lose on. Now, that being said, y'all can do a general zoning ordinance that would include that and a lot of other things. So now, a zoning ordinance for the entire county is something y'all are gonna have to put a lot of thought in. In agricultural, commercial, residential, and otherwise. And I don't have a vote on this commission, but I'm just telling you that spot zoning is not the way to go.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Sure.
And
I
that's
got
what y'all pay me for. I give my opinion.
Right.
Okay.
All right, anything from the board?
Well, we wouldn't have time to do it for the November ballot because it has to be in by August 1st anyway. So we would have to give it to Ron or John, and this is something we're gonna have to push to the next election cycle. This is something somebody wants on there. Or continue discussing the zoning ordinance, which I have brought up in the past.
Okay. Anything else from the commissioner?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I guess this is for John. Am I understanding correctly that the request was to identify locations that would be good for?
It sounded
Solar
like
and-
it would be a zoning for, solar farms and data centers is what it was, seemed like the request was.
So-
Right, it stems from those concerns, but you could make it a general zoning if you wanted it to be.
But somebody would have to decide where those locations would be. Is that what we're saying?
Well, you'd have to develop a whole,
Zoning map.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
we
you'd have to
talked
have,
about
you'd have to have a whole bunch of zoning regulations developed in the zoning map. I mean, it would need to be thorough.
Okay. And then my question to John is, when industrial sites are established, is that spot zone?
Not if you do it for the entire county.
Okay,
Now, spot zoning is saying, we're not gonna let this be here, period. And I don't mean that to distinguish solar or data centers. But when you define zoning, you've got to have very specific definitions about what you're gonna do and what's allowed there. By way of example, I mean, you have a farm that begins commercial operations because they've gotten big enough to do that. Do you tell them they can't do that? You just have to have very specific definitions about the areas you're going to be. It's a lot easier in a city because it's not so large. When you're dealing with a county, you've got to deal with the idea that you've got to designate what can be a residential area, what can be an agricultural area, what can be a commercial area. And you've got to define what commercial area is, what residential area is, and what agricultural area is. I mean, is a farm until it becomes a dispersal unit? When they put a warehouse in, when they start driving trucks down, does it become a farm or is it commercial? This is a big decision. I don't think y'all need to take it into capriciously because when you're telling people what they can do with their land, you've got to have very well defined situations. And you may have to set up, and it can be this board, but you may have to set up a zoning board for variances when things come up as a change. I'm not saying you can't do it. And you asked about a referendum, Ms. Green. It's not a referendum. Y'all can do this as this county commission board. But when you get to the point of telling people what they can do with their own land, you've got to have very well-defined maps and organization and what you're gonna do. And I don't think it's something you want to just take capriciously, and I don't think you can do it as a spot zoning. Spot zoning by the courts has never been very well liked.
Thank you.
Okay. So we don't have a motion on this then. Let's move to,
I want to make a committee research it, but
we've got a plan, we've got a work session coming up, so we'll probably come up with. Okay, at this time, we'll go to Mr. J.C. Hilliard with community concerns. If you'll come to the mic, please.
My name's J.C. Hilliard. I'm from the community where the road's being closed, Mitchell. They're gonna close our road, and my concern is we're gonna have to go to Ryan and come to Eastman. We got 280 signatures, and we give it to the state, put a place, to get around, where they put the cupboard in. It's not gonna take 5 months to put the cupboard in, so they refused. It was killed to Mr. Mathis. They said, that length of time they wouldn't, I could bypass there. So they're not going to do that. So what I'm trying to say is my wife's on a walker and she's got a monitor, heart monitor. If I had to get her to Eastman, I don't want to have to go to Ryan. And my suggestion, I'm asking, I don't know all of you, I know these two, Mr. Watkins and Mr. McCraney, I don't know the rest of y'all. We'd like to see maybe Fairhaven Church Road just crush and run. Well, you got to be fancy. Something that if it rains, you could get to town. I mean, we ain't asking for no payment, but it may make a difference in getting my wife to town if I had to go to Ryan, if she lived in it. My wife, huh?
Oh, yeah, very well.
I'm not trying to, if you could put, I rode the road today, and it's, I'm gonna say a tenth of Scott crushing run, because they put it on the hills, you know what I mean?
That's right.
But if they could finish that road out with just crush and run, when the rainy season comes in, we could get to town anyway.
Okay. Anything else? I mean,
No,
nothing
just-
from the board.
No, okay, that's it right there.
Okay. Excuse me. But you were saying Fairhaven Church Road.
Right. I think that'd be the easy, it's coming to, if you go straight across from Jim Ross Road, that's going toward Ryan, really, you're going out the way. I looked at that, and I talked with Connor about that. It's out that way. We need to come this way, not the other way, if you've got to get to town.
What's the name of the road right across from this? Studstill?
Yeah, but have you been on Studstill Road? You can't pass. I broke a windshield on it.
It's got a good bit of rock.
Yeah, but you can't pass, Brian. It ain't the rocks. There's 2 or 3 places you can pass good. The other road, you could put a big truck on and pass.
It's a lot narrower.
Right.
Okay.
So, y'all gonna discuss it later on, what you're gonna do? I'd like to know. I ain't trying to be smart.
I think we'll probably discuss it. We need to really get some information because at first you were telling me, at least me, the Jim Ross Road where, the pavement ends and it goes to the Ryan Road.
Right.
But I see your point. It makes a lot of sense to just turn there.
Go to 117.
Yeah, go toward.
Come out.
Toward the old ITT or A&E
Right.
place. So, I just think the board would need to have some figures on that. And it'll probably take a few days to get that up.
I ain't trying to get an answer. I just ask where we stand.
Sure.
Maybe it's the next meeting,
Yeah.
something.
I would think by the next meeting.
Well, I appreciate that. I thank
Okay.
y'all for my time.
All right, thank you for coming. All right, we'll go to quarterly reports, the road financial. So I'll turn it over to the county manager.
Yes, sir. So in your packet, I have submitted the Q2 of fiscal year 2026 report. And of course, on the drive, I think you've got the the details, but, we collected, in revenue, $3,482,621.42. And a lot of that is some of those amendments we've done. And then on the same side of that, we expended $8,404.79. And clearly you can see that the majority of that did come from roads. So that is going to be the ending of the 25 LMIG, the 2026 LMIG, the GTIB, and that's why we made some amendments there. So, and then the next one is going to be the road report, same time frame. We had a total of 66 work orders called in, and it took an average of 9.05 days to complete from the time they were called to the time they were complete. Now, there still are some open in there as well, you'll see.
Well, back up just 1 second. What was it, 6 million that we'd spent?
Yes, sir, in that time frame, yes, sir.
The reason I'm gonna bring that up to people that heard that real fast, that's not your property tax money. Most of that is grant money. Those road grants that came from the state monies that fixed. So not that it's real money. This money's been spent here, but that would be all of our
And the tax.
tax digest would be gone today if we'd spent that much out of your tax money. So that we have to account for every dollar spent, and those dollars that come from the state to do all these road and highway projects. Those 3 million that we just got, $4 million grant or $2 million grants, loan package. That is in those figures. I just want to make that.
That's correct. In roads alone, we spent $2,161,360 just on roads.
And so you're presenting this as information.
Yes, sir. This is
Okay.
information.
All right, does anyone from the board have a question? Anybody from the public got a question on this information we received? Okay, we'll move into the commissioner reports. I'll start with Ms. Sharon Cobb, planning.
Okay, I'm gonna catch up what I didn't bring up before. So I've been appointed as the vice chair of natural resources and environmental for the ACCG.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm involved in the policy council now, so if there's any particular topics or issues you want brought forward to potentially make a change in the law, let me know. We can get it done. I'll give an example that we were able to get done was the EMS. First 10 miles, we were having to pay the cost of that. It wasn't being reimbursed at all. But now we don't have to pay that anymore because it's now being reimbursed. So that's just an example, because I think for years people were trying to get it taken care of. It's an example of what we can do in these policy councils if I just know what the issues are. Comprehensive plan. I just wanted to bring up, I think we have another meeting coming up sometime soon, right, Connor?
I've got that date.
You gotta take care of that. I just want to point out to people that you may not even know what that is, but it's a 5-year plan on inputs from the public, from the Board of Commissioners. It's open to anyone to come in with their inputs. And a lot of the discussions that are going on regarding zoning and planning and all that is addressed in those documents. That's the place, in my mind, that's the place to bring it up, to get it taken care of there. That's what I think, because there's sections in that document that address that. Somebody approached me the other day and said that we have concerns about, population shrinkage. What I was wondering is, and I'm not looking for an answer now, but I was wondering if we can get some input in terms of how many jobs we have in the area for people that are busy, that are working. We have people working that we may not even know about. We don't think about it until we stop and look and think. So it would be useful to help with some knowledge of that when people are approaching and saying, we don't have any jobs and we don't have this, because I don't think it's not that black and white. And then we got a letter from GDOT, the airport authority. I'm speaking from the airport authority now. We got a letter from GDOT regarding airport, I'll call it loosely zoning. And then we're gonna have to address. And I don't know, Connor, if you got the same letter or not. I don't know if I think it just came. So I've got it here and you're welcome to it. It reads like zoning, but basically it has to deal with what height restrictions are going to be on lands adjacent to the airport, those kinds of things. And there was a new law put in place. And I'm just using height as an example, but there's a new law put in place regarding adjacent properties. And guess who's tagged with being responsible for regulating that? Probably us and the city. So we've got actions, just, that's on. The other thing is the final report on tire abatement. We actually did pretty well this year on the tire abatement activity. I've had to go back and ask for an amendment for the amount of money that they granted. The ceiling. I want to raise the ceiling for what they granted. That's been submitted. It'll probably get approved. There's no way we can have a precise number because we don't know the weight of the tires. We can't know that, and the cost is associated with the weight of the tires. So I think that'll be okay because as long as we're staying on the 75,000 threshold, which is the max, then we'll be fine. Right now, what was it? 62,000 or something like that is how much we're asking back. And then there's a lot of people regarding the courthouse that want, they have concerns. They want to voice them. And I think a lot of that's happening on social media, which is not official information. So I'm going to have another town hall this Thursday for, I call it a listening session. It's actually maybe a public forum, whatever, for people to come in and voice their concerns. I just want to hear them. I want to hear what they are. Because I'm not hearing them. I'm just hearing whispers and noises, but I'd like for people to kind of just express what their concerns are regarding the courthouse. And that's it. If nobody shows up, and I won't be doing any talking, we're going to be doing listening. And anybody's welcome to come if you want to hear. But I know I want to hear. So that's this Thursday at 6 o'clock, and it's at the old theater on Main Street in Eastman. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Commissioner Green, anything? Commissioner Watkins?
Yes, in light of passing Mr. Howard Cawthorn, I'd like to make the following motion. I'd like to move to the recognition of dedicated public service of Judge Howard C. Cawthorn Jr., Dodge County, the state of Georgia. Dodge County Board of Commissioners authorized flags being flown at half staff and the closure of all non-essential county offices and facilities on Wednesday, July the 22nd, 2026, to allow employees the opportunity to attend the funeral and pay their respects.
We have a motion on the floor. Do I have have a second? Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. Anything else? All right. This time we'll turn it over to the county manager and
Yeah, so I have a few things to go over. I wanted to kind of let y'all know what elections are running now since we're in full swing election season, since we've kind of consolidated some of our precincts. But the May 19th general primary ran just shy of $26,000. And the June 16th primary runoff ran $15,900. So we're seeing a lot better numbers for cost to the taxpayer for elections. So the
One question on that.
Yes.
Get off of it. Where are we on those properties? We also had some surplus properties because of that, and we'll probably going back to that. Where are we on that?
So I'm actually locating the parcel they sit on to see if, so as we do some title work to see if there's anything in the deed as far as callback, if that exists, or if we're just using the building just because. So it's hard to tell because it is difficult because these deeds or agreements stem from thirds. So it takes a little time for me, but we're working on it.
Okay.
The comprehensive plan for Dodge County, the final hearing and input session is July the 30th at 3 p.m. at the Chamber of Commerce.
at what time?
3 p.m.
It's gonna be at Echo Center.
No, sir, it's going to be in the room in the Chamber of Commerce in the back room.
3 p.m.
3, yes. And I think the last thing we have happens to be, the land planning and land use pieces in that comprehensive plan. So, I did receive notification from Jax that on July 22nd, so this Wednesday at 3 p.m., at this restaurant in Eastman, they are going to host a backpack bash, and they will provide backpacks filled with school supplies for local students. And all the backpacks are packed in advance, and it is sponsored by Dodge County Football, Department of Juvenile Justice, Eastman Fire Department, Great Oaks Bank, and Alabama Bass Trail, and of course Jack's Family Fun. So glad to see some community action there. And then also I wanted to talk about the road committee. Just so y'all know, we have received the notification that, and I presented to the road committee, that we have our amount for our 2027 L meeting. So the road committee is working through the roads that from previous lists to be put on there and try to get funded. So we're working on that now, and those roads are being estimated at this time for presentation to this board later. And then lastly, I want to talk about the emergency alert system that we put in. It went live July 6th. I haven't checked today, but when I checked Friday, we had over 500 residents sign up. And I want to encourage everybody to do it. It's very simple. It takes just a few minutes. Even my dad can do it, so anybody should be able to do it. But just sitting here, I received an alert that we're having a thunderstorm warning. I mean, just a quick notification to my phone, knowing that what kind of rain to expect. So I mean, it's really a great tool, and I'd like to see that get closer to 12,000 people using it.
Okay. Anything else?
And I want to look at that letter that Mr. Bunning has, because I want to compare it to the current ordinance that we have in place. I want to see if there's any change in it, so we can recommend there. But I do have one more thing, and it almost slipped me, the work session. So I have some dates in mind. July the 27th, 28th, or 29th, or August the 4th. And in that, I think that not only should we talk about data center ordinance, but also I'd like to really have a really good discussion about the tax digest budgetary need from offices that have been submitted and how they correlate prior to us setting a millage rate in late August.
What's the pleasure of the board? I think for me, like either the 27th, 28th, or the 4th would be better, but it's up to the board.
What will be better for me?
Which one? The 4th? The 4th? Okay, what about anybody else? It's the 4th looks,
What time?
I'll be here all day.
Anytime. Anytime's best for y'all.
Each week. That's what I'm saying. Early.
I know that.
8:30 in the morning, 8:30, 8.
I don't care. I'm good.
Watch your kids when they get to school.
School's not in.
Our starts out August 3rd.
Yeah.
I'm good. Whatever time y'all need to do it that day.
8:30.
8:30 on the 4th.
Gives me time to breakfast.
Let's see.
Brian don't cook eggs. I think we'll ring and 8:30 on August 4th.
All right. Anybody else got a question for the county manager? Can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Got a motion to have a second. After seconds, any discussion? Discussion can be closed. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Unanimous, we're not adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.
Hey, come.